Call the Community Services June 15th meeting to order. It won't be long. Okay, good morning to you all. We're going to call the Community Services Committee meeting to order on June 15th, 9 a.m. and welcome and thank you for being here. Today we do something we've never done before. We have to look at our ordinance that was passed on April 13th, 2021 regarding attending a meeting remotely and approval of those who wish to be here. So I think what would maybe help us the most in that decision is to have me read the first paragraph because it's short and it helps us in our decision making. If the quorum of the members of the county board, including the chairperson, is physically present, a majority of the county board may allow a member of the board to attend the meeting by other means, meaning video conferencing. If the member is prevented from physically attending because of these three reasons: 1, personal illness or disability, employment purposes or the business of the board, or family or other emergency. Those are your three criterion. So I think the first thing probably we should do is make sure we have a quorum. So can we roll call who's in the room to make sure we have that? So Kelly, will you do that?
Ms. Weber.
Present.
Ms. Parker. Present. Ms. Polk. Mr. Snipes. Ms. Peters. Present. Mr. Tholen. Mr. Carrico. Mr. Kirkstra.
Present.
Mr. Gerald Smith. Mr. Eckhoff.
Present.
Ms. Bryan. Mr. Kenneth Smith.
Present.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
Present.
Mr. Wheeler.
Present.
Mr. Seroy.
Present.
Mr. Snipes.
Present.
We have a quorum.
You have a quorum. So we have two requests to appear on remote today. The first one is by Dr. Patricia Polk, reason being mobility, disability, and reasons of COVID health reasons. So in that, considering that and the reasons available, would someone move on that motion? So Ms. Peters, would you move? What would your move be? What's your motion?
To accept her into the meeting.
Her request to be accepted that way. Okay. And the second is Mr. Eckhoff. And maybe I would ask, would this, because it's a long-term disability, could this be extended until it isn't a matter anymore? How would you phrase that? Until the need for a remote is no longer needed. That would be acceptable for your motion?
That would be acceptable.
Okay, so that this we're only making a decision for Community Services Committee, and this is so that it will not have to come up at each meeting that way. So you've heard the motion. Is there a discussion on this? Mr. Snipes.
Madam Chair, I have no objection to this, but isn't there provisions in our own ordinances or bylaws that governs these meetings that allows for this provision when we know, because I don't want to get to the point that I discuss someone's personal business because of HIPAA in public session. So I'm wondering, I believe the county board took a measure to kind of allow these particular meetings. I don't know if we went so far as to say the Zoom, but if they let us know and in accordance with what we have because of their circumstances, do we really have to take the motion other than the fact that they kind of let us know?
Yes, we reviewed the amendment just earlier, and it said that there needs to be a vote. Am I confirmed on that? There needs to be a vote. Ms. Peters. Open Meetings Act, okay.
Oh, is my gun?
Are you 16? You
Yep,
are.
16. Thank you. Just to clarify all future meetings for Ms. Polk, just to verify that she's still there asking for, the situation hasn't changed. She should probably, the night before the meeting or the day before the meeting, still request that, but we don't have to vote on it. But that verifies to us that the situation has not changed, unless you have a better alternative that we check on.
I don't.
So,
Mr. Kirkstra, do you want to add to that?
I think what the decision that we're trying to make here is for this committee in particular,
Yes, but she's saying,
For the meeting of then?
and she's saying every future community service meeting.
Yes. in
Just to
future
send the
community-
request in.
Yes.
So is that,
Yeah, we don't have to vote on it each time, but it verifies that the situation has not changed.
Yeah.
Which probably won't, but
it's just on integrity, I guess, integrity of the vote. That's what your vote is, okay.
Right.
Is there other discussion? No? Okay. Then it could be a voice vote unless you have another opinion. Okay. All in favor of that motion to agree that Ms. Polk can attend remotely until that condition does not any longer exist for this committee meeting only, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. The motion carried. Okay. The second request is from Ms. Hudson. In her email, I think read that today Ms. Polk is now officially can vote on any future things at this meeting, and she's on. Welcome. Ms. Hudson's request was that she said she has a cough today and requests to be on Zoom for this meeting. So can I have a motion on that, please? Ms. Peters,
I'll make that motion.
you'll move that she be approved for attending this meeting because of her cough.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd rather not her hair if she's coughing.
Second of that? Is there a second?
Polk.
Ms. Polk will second it. Okay, is there discussion? Mr. Snipes?
I would at some point to check with the state's attorney's office to see when a person's elected to office, I guess we're saying they have the ability to vote into a meeting or that we're going to allow them in or participate. I think we need to look at our maybe our bylaws or whatever it is that governs this meeting and see if we have covered ADA issues and things of that nature. And so I would like to get some type of an opinion because a county board member that represents a district should always have, I mean, I can't vote them in, they're already voted in by the people. So I think we kind of need to look at that so that we don't have to continue, because I see it said just this meeting, but any other meeting that they would basically attend, I'm thinking there should be something in place that we can kind of change it to allow that to happen so we're not having to take a vote every time.
Well, lucky you asked because we have a representative. So please help us out, Mr. Conklin.
Thank you. Per the Open Meetings Act and the ordinance that was recently approved, you already have the requirements that now that the COVID is essentially at least abated, that
Mr. Conklin, would you come a little closer to the mic?
I'm sorry, is that better?
Yeah.
Nobody ever had a problem hearing me before.
Today's the day.
With the Open Meetings Act and our ordinance, every meeting that a county board member does not personally attend, you have to follow through with this procedure where they request to the board or the committee, based on the 3 requirements that were previously read into the record, that based on those, that if they're going to be allowed to come into the meeting, then it has to be a vote at every meeting. With Ms. Polk, with an ongoing type of issue, then it's totally appropriate to make that vote that was made earlier. However, again, she needs to call in and follow the procedure as to request that it continue on. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's something in the county,
Well, we have an ordinance, and then the other is the Open Meetings Act. Has specific requirement or procedures in the Open Meetings Act that follows remote attendance by board members that are not present.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so sounds like we have an act for everything. So just need our representative here to tell us. Mr. Wheeler, let me get you. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to remind the committee that through the discussion when we passed these ordinances, what, 3 months ago, 4 months ago?
April.
April, yeah, it was pretty clear in the discussion that our intention is that if people are off on rehab, you know, they have surgery, things like that, then that was when the board would vote to allow them in. I'll be voting no on this because if you're sick and you're a board member, you just didn't get paid before COVID. You had to stay home. That's where we're back to being. And so we're not afforded having a cough, and it's not personal. It's just this would be, if it was any other board member, I would say the same thing. So that's why my vote will be no. That's not the intent of this ordinance, and we talked about that specifically.
Is there someone else that'd like to comment? Mr. Snipes?
Again, my position would be that it's nice that they disclose that they have a cough, but if they feel that they're unsafe or that they feel that they might infect the board or whatever, their due diligence is really not to disclose what their condition is. It's just the fact that we as board members acknowledge and then go from that particular point. So I don't want to get into the business of us individual having to say specifically what they are having an issue with. So I'll be voting yes, given that they are a fellow board member and a member of this board.
Thank you. Mr. Coughlin, is it appropriate that we should have the information on why the person is not here, not requesting not to be here? Is it appropriate that we ask?
Well, I think a general reason why they aren't here is appropriate. With HIPAA, I don't think it's a requirement that you have to say that, I broke my leg or whatever those things, whatever your medical condition might be, that shouldn't be necessary, but you need to at least inform the board that I have a medical condition and because of that, I'm not able to attend and I'm requesting this accommodation.
Okay.
But I don't think you need a specific, I got the flu, I've got whatever. I think that would violate HIPAA.
So for the future, because this will come up at every meeting, it could come up at every meeting in the future, the person may say that they have a medical condition that requires they stay home from
Correct.
the meeting? They have a medical condition.
They have a medical condition that they or whatever their other reason for doing it, and then it's up to the board to decide whether or not they think it's appropriate to allow them into the meeting.
So they could say I have a personal illness or a disability. I'm out of town for purposes of business or the board, or I have a family emergency. Those titles that are in the ordinance.
Any of those types of things, a request with listing one of those things is appropriate under the ordinance.
And so
and the Open Meetings Act.
Sure. I think Mr. Snipes is correct. We don't want to skin against that HIPAA either. So any other discussion before the vote? Is your vote to be roll call or by voice? Voice vote? Voice vote, okay. All in favor of approving Ms. Hudson attending remotely to this meeting, say aye. Aye. Any who not approve it, say aye. Aye.
Roll call.
All right, we'll have a roll call, please. The motion is if you agree that she could attend remotely, it's an aye. Okay, go ahead.
Madam Chair.
Please.
How do I put this? Could this be for this meeting only,
Absolutely,
and for this meeting only today?
yes,
And okay,
yes.
well, I understand that. I just wanted to make.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that because
clarification on that,
Ms. Polk was an exception.
Right.
Every meeting from every meeting from now on is its own meeting.
Right.
So it's just for today.
Right.
Do you allow Ms. Hudson to attend today?
Right.
Okay. Now, please, Mr. Wheeler.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Is it aye to support the motion and nay to vote against it for roll call? Okay, I just want to make sure because it was both ayes on the other.
Oh, you want me to have a no if you
We should have a nay.
have a
That's my
nay?
suggestion, I would say.
I'd be glad to do that.
Confusing.
You say, I know, I know. I'll do it. I'm up to that. All right. If you agree that Ms. Hudson attend remotely, say aye. Roll call.
Mr. Wheeler?
Nay.
Ms. Weber?
Nay.
Ms. Parker? Nay. Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes?
Aye.
Ms. Peters? Aye. Mr. Kirkstra?
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Nay.
Mr. Kenneth Smith?
Nay.
Motion fails.
Oops. We got a Mr. Alexander.
I am so sorry.
Nay.
Motion fails. I'm sorry.
Is there anybody else that didn't vote? No. So that's been settled. The vote is what, Kelly, just to be sure? 4 to 6. So what does that mean? What does that mean? For this meeting, Kelly then will disconnect Ms. Hudson for this meeting. She's welcome to attend remotely and hear the proceedings of the meeting. Okay. Any comments at all? Okay, then, let's go on to the next matter of business. Is there, I don't have any public comment. There is public here, but they don't seem to be commenting, so we're okay, we'll go forward. Any presentations? I don't have any presentations. In approving the minutes are from our last meeting from May 18th. We'd like a motion to be, please, if you will, approve the minutes of the meeting. The county clerk doesn't have a report today, right? So we'll go to the monthly report of the assessor, monthly report of the recorder, monthly report of the animal control officer. Well, Mrs. Parker, are you going to make that motion? Yes. To approve all of those? Mr. Eckhoff will second it. All in favor on a voice vote for approving all that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Next, we'll turn to the big deal of the day. Mr. Hendrickson. While he's coming, and Laura, Laurie, thank you for being here too. There's a place for everybody. We can now sit together. Isn't that cool? I want to mention that Mr. Hendrickson is taking his show on the road. So I have a scheduled with him for October 13th and February 5th that he'll be speaking about the voting machines. So if you have some organization you'd like him to go on the road with you, he goes.
We're going on tour. We'll get the t-shirts printed up and everything.
Glad he's not selling that elixir again.
All right.
I like that idea. Good morning, everybody. I don't know, I'm assuming all of you know, but my chief deputy, Lori Thatcher, she's here to help me this morning. I wanted to thank everybody that was part of the process last month at our demonstration of voting equipment. We had a very good turnout by county board members, members of the public, election judges. We have our proposals in, and what we'd like to do is we'd like to open them up now, read what the bid is, but I'd also like a little bit of time to look at those to make sure that we're talking about apples and apples here. We're not just talking about voting equipment, we're talking about a voting solution that includes everything from not just the machines, but the supplies that we use, the ballots that we use. So we want to have a comprehensive vendor for that, and want to make sure that those bids include everything that we're looking for. Okay, so without further ado, if you would.
Do we need a motion to open the bid? Okay, so Mr. Eckhoff, you've been busy today. He will move that we open bids. Mr. Kirksher seconds it. Now we can voice vote. All in favor of opening the bid, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Okay.
Didn't mean to jump the gun there. It's been a while since I opened bids, so. Okay, so, yes.
While she's opening, do you have the 3 vendors that we saw, have they each bid?
All 3 vendors submitted a proposal. This one is from Governmental Business Systems. We also had Liberty and ES&S submit. So this is the proposal from Governmental Business Systems. Bear with me. I need to find where the
So for us, as you look, can you in each case tell us which floor they were on? Because that's how I remember.
Governmental Business Systems was the vendor that demonstrated on the first floor.
In the voting room.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Please, go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question before Dan reads the amounts, if that's possible.
Sure.
Was there a preference that you found for you and your staff as far as the machines?
You know, what we found is we gave all of the people that came through, we gave them a survey, rate the vendors based on, you know, the criteria that we had, and based on the evaluation of that criteria, all 3 vendors were within 1% of one another.
Is that right?
So, yeah, and I think that all three vendors provided us something that will certainly meet our needs, something that we might have to, you know, think about and work around, but nothing insurmountable. So, you know, if you're asking me right off the cuff, you know, did we have one that was an outstanding one? No, I think they were all fairly close. So it's really, you know, the amount, the dollar amount here will certainly be a heavy factor in what we decide to do. One of the things that I'd like to do before we make a final decision on that is I'd like to contact some of the other counties that are using this equipment and hear what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And I've heard a little bit of feedback from some other jurisdictions, but I'd like to do a little bit more heavy digging on that before we get a final answer. I hope that answered your question adequately.
Yes.
Okay. Governmental business systems, the proposed project amount, $799,420. The only question I have with that is that it also does include a separate amount for supplies in the amount of $67,798. I need to look at that to make sure that if that's not part of the project amount.
Did you request that it be part of the project?
I wanted to bid for the whole kit and caboodle.
So that could make it an 850,000.
Potentially, yes.
Sorry.
Excuse me, Megan.
Are these cash rates or finance rates?
Governmental business systems does provide a financing option at, I didn't dog ear that page.
Wait.
6 years at $147,473 a year.
Thank you.
Is that what you'd hope for, a kind of a, no.
You know, I don't know. I want to go into this kind of as neutral as possible. So
But
certainly having options makes
that was something that a financial is something to look at. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the proposal from Liberty Systems. And we are looking at a total amount $678,871. That's or an 8-year payment of $115,211. Nope, I'm sorry. I don't want to say, I'm not quarterly, I'm sorry, quarterly payments of $21,214
For 8 years.
for 8 years.
That, do you believe those numbers you're giving would have a finance charge?
This has an annual interest rate of 5%.
Okay. Which floor were they on?
They were on the second floor.
Okay.
Sorry, forgot about the floor.
It just, that's where I put my impressions were on what floor.
Sure.
Therefore, this one must have been.
This one is electronic systems
It
and
was on the
services, and they were on the 4th floor.
4th floor.
Right next door.
Oh, yes.
See, that's why I had you do this.
Well, they were very secure in their presentation, aren't they? What was the deadline that you needed these guys?
I had asked for them to submit their proposals last Friday, June 11th. So election systems and software. $684,949. Plus annual license and support fees of $48,595. They have an annual license or annual payments available, $122,728 a year. I do not see interest on there.
Or how long?
6 years.
Comments?
So-
Ms. Peters, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. Yeah, the support, it says annual license and support. I guess you'll have to go through the packages to see if the other
Right.
ones offer that too, or if that's extra on theirs. So, do you know offhand if the other ones offer support also?
I'm sure they will, but I want to have a comprehensive presentation that I would make too.
Mr. Wheeler?
Madam Chairman, do you think it would be in order for a motion to accept the bids and have Dan go back and tabulate everything onto a sheet and circulate it? Is that kind of, you want to compare the apples to apples and do a further analysis?
I would like to do further analysis on this to make sure that we're looking at the exact same thing. And like to take that to the Finance Committee if that's acceptable.
So what would your pleasure, Mr. Kirkstra?
I was just gonna comment, I agree with that because of, first of all, the amount that we are spending, and I think if there are any questions that Dan would have, I think we should get it, we should have those answered before any decision is actually made for his concerns for his department.
Right. So
I make a motion
what is that? What is your motion?
that we, how do I put that?
You said.
Just what they said.
Just-
Let Dan check it out. Let Dan check it out and get some more information on each system, and with others who have tried the system before making a decision on the bid.
So
Choice.
we can do no more at this meeting except to recommend that he review them. Did you want to also put into that you want to know what his review is before it goes?
Yes, I think it would be informational for us. Yes, before a final.
Before? At final. Okay, so we don't need anything back from him, just whatever his recommendation is, go to the finance meeting, which is coming up next week. Oh, sure. I mean, he's excited about this, so he's gonna move it. Okay, besides
Desperation provides inspiration, right?
somebody besides Mr. Eckhoff, second that, please? Mr. Alexander Hildebrand.
I actually have a comment.
All right. If you're number 9, I can help you out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dan, how many machines are we getting with this? What was all?
I
everything
believe
you're looking-
we had sent out the proposal for 75 machines.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So that would be enough for every precinct, plus for our early voting solutions, plus enough to have some spares.
Okay, Mr. Zerai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Henderson, how many years did you have the previous system?
We had the original optical scan system in 2004 was our first year using that, and our touch screens we started using in 2007. So we like to think of our touch screens as basically a big computer tablet. So getting 14 years out of a tablet, that's pretty good.
Well, that's where I was going. So we can expect maybe this system to last us a 10-year
Long
period.
after I'm gone.
Long after you're gone? Good. All right.
Do you know
Hopefully
what that
that's-
is?
It's like, hey, Bruce did say that.
I promise you 17 years from now I will not be here. Or if I am, I won't know that I'm here, so.
We won't recognize each other, will we, either? So is there other discussion? The motion again is that he do his diligence before next Wednesday, Wednesday, and then take it to finance. That's the motion right there. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Wasn't it?
I said.
Yeah, the angel again said. Not all opposed to that say nay. Okay, the motion carries unanimously then. Thank you. I have one other question. I really like, from wherever, maybe from our personnel office, the ad for all the jobs that are available for the county. And you have one. How's that going?
We actually, the first 2 weeks we had it posted on social media, and we didn't get any applications at all. So, you know, thank you to administration for getting this out and getting the word out, and we were able to get a few more applications. I'm not sure if this is true for everybody else, but it seems that everybody's kind of hurting for employees nowadays, but we were able to get somebody hired, and they'll be starting a week from Monday.
Wow. The power of the press.
She had to put her 2-week notice in, so we're very happy to have her aboard.
Oh. Okay, any other comments? Any other questions for?
I did have one other
please go ahead.
thing. At that day that we were doing our presentation of the software, I did get notification from our poll pad vendor saying that the iPads that we currently use as part of our check-in experience at the polling places and for early voting, they're not going to be supported by Apple at the end of the year. So, I've spoken with the chairman at length about this. Probably he's tired of hearing from me. But I did ask for our vendor to provide us a quote for replacing those. They did offer to buy back our existing iPads. However, the chairman, I think, given the amount that they're willing to pay us for the iPads, I believe, and I'll defer to Chairman Wheeler if he has thoughts on that, but our quote for getting the new iPads plus a new case and a sled, $74,000.
How many?
162.
Current. That's the current number you have.
Right. So we'll need to do that. There was some comments from that we would have to bid that out, and I did talk to State's Attorney's Office about that, and I did get a memo from Teresa Gowdy that you know, as you know, the county code requires bidding for purchases in excess of $30,000 unless it's for a professional service. The agreement with No Inc. is a professional service agreement, therefore, based on county code, don't need to bid it.
Oh.
The concern we had with bidding those out is that our vendor does put their own proprietary software on there, and there's some security things that they do that I don't know if you buy the iPad off the shelf, and in pricing those iPads, our vendor had cheaper than what we could get in store. So I'm not sure that there's any value to be gained by buying them from a third-party vendor as opposed to going directly to No Inc.
Well, your best information is that you don't have to bid, so you
Correct.
just wash all that stuff away. Okay, Mr.
Well,
Wheeler.
thank you, Madam Chairman. You know, bidding is a good process. It keeps everybody, you know, everything fair, everything's, you know, above board and, you know, visible, if you will. But we did check the pricing. That's one thing Dan did to make sure that if you buy 130 from some other vendor out there, you know, what's the price? And as he said, it was cheaper to buy them from No Inc. The other side of it is we don't know that they would support that you know, their app on that device. You know, there's a lot of questions if you don't go that route. So it's better to have 1 point of these don't work instead of 3 points of that these don't
Absolutely.
work. And so that there is a value to that. What my idea that I had is we were only going to get $44 back for what? 4 or 5-year-old iPads?
$44.50.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm selling it short. $44.51?
Well, if we're negotiating, we can talk.
Higher. But no, which is really nothing comparatively. We would only save $7,000 if we you know, have those sent them back.
Trade-in, yeah.
So my thought is why not keep those and repurpose 28 of them for county board member iPads so we can stop printing all this out.
Yeah.
Yay.
And we have something on the tables maybe that it will dock into. You can only use it for county business. You know, realizing that they are discoverable via FOIA and all that other stuff. So watch your websites, that kind of stuff. But, you know, I'm just saying, it seems like, and then keep another 28 for backups for county board and then distribute the rest within county government as needed. That was my only addition, was to use them in-house. Right, because the value is so little And I think it will work for our purposes for just basically document management. People's email comes up on it, they can be in the meeting going through stuff. If they have a question about something to do with county code, they can click on the button that says county code,
Wow.
you know, and things like that.
Well, sure, and the cost to buy those new, if you bought 28 of those new, you're talking about $5,000, and they were gonna give us $7,200 for them, and that,
There's no cost benefit.
right.
Yeah, so if that's part of the motion would be if we want to do the poll pads, which we have to, but it would be, did you give them the price? I'm sorry.
$74,738.
And then it'd be 7,000 less than that if we can.
No, that would be the price minus,
Oh, it is, okay.
yes.
Okay,
Minus,
Yeah, I already did the math on that
okay,
one.
sorry about that.
minus the
okay.
trade-ins, but you're not trading in, so would it be higher?
Correct.
It would be higher than that.
It would be
Oh, I gotcha.
$74,738.
Okay, okay. So on your agenda, you do have a recommendation for purchase of poll pads. That's where we are right now.
Yes.
Okay, is that you want to make that motion? Or who?
I would say somebody else.
Yes, I do. I think so too. Somebody besides Mr. Eckhoff again. Okay, Mr. Peters, Ms. Parker, would you make the motion that we accept the bid? Is that how that your motion is? Accept the bid for $74,738 for how many?
Except the proposal, I don't know that it's.
Proposal
Yeah,
for 162
162
poll
iPads
pads
In cases.
and cases.
and cases.
Okay, Mr. Cookster, is that your second?
Yes, I'll take the second.
Oh, you'll take the second. Okay, is there any other discussion on it? How quickly can they be?
You know, with the potential for the election, or the probability that the election won't be until June of next year, we've got a little bit of time. So I can, we can get the ball rolling on this, and we can get them in here, as soon as possible, but we don't need to have them in
I
here as
gotcha.
soon as possible.
Again, do we have this power, or does this go to finance? We can't spend this money at this committee, can we?
This would be
Recommending
to
again.
finance, and then they would make any adjustments to budgets or whatever is necessary. I don't know if that would require this year. What's the ETA on delivery?
We haven't even gotten that far with them. We can get, I would assume that it would be this fiscal
budget
year.
Okay, yeah, finance that.
Okay, so that's your motion, Ms. Parker, that not that we acknowledge the quote
Yes.
and ask that it be sent to finance for approval. Okay. And Mr. Snipes, did you have a comment?
No, that was my concern with the last one and this one, is that we making the motion in order, and then for the recommendation of to accept, but yet to submit it to finance for review.
Okay, isn't that neat? We're doing it right. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other discussion, you're pretty happy right now?
I am good.
Depends on this vote, right?
This is true.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. There you go.
All righty.
You have spent a lot of money today.
Not yet.
Not yet. Here's your invitation to speak.
Oh, very good. Thank you. If anybody else has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
So at the next meeting, you'll have a report and a 6 months report? Is that what you're doing next week?
Can I submit that? I mean, I should have that within the next couple of days. Can I submit that to another committee, or does it need, I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me, whatever the pleasure of this board is, or
Could go to county board. It's done that in the past.
or finance, or I can go till the July meeting too. It doesn't make a difference to me.
Yes, you're on.
I mean,
Is there any statutory constraints on you?
I don't believe
As far
so.
as it's.
In
Where the monthly report is submitted, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think
Or
so
time.
either. You said that a 6-month report?
Yes. Yes.
That's not something you have to do statutorily. That's something you do just to inform the board, correct?
Correct.
That's what I thought. So that can happen anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to submit it to executive or whatever else, it's.
Okay.
Or if you're going to be at finance, submit it there. That might be.
And get it approved. So.
Just make sure Kelly gets it to tell her to put it on the
Absolutely.
agenda.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you all so
Okay.
much.
Good job. Nice.
Good job, Lori.
She's honed her opening skills.
Glad he's out of line items in here. Can't
Christmas
afford
came early.
Another item.
Oh, one more thing.
Columbo.
Numbers.
County Clerk Columbo.
Yeah.
I see Mr. Blair. We've already reviewed and approved your report. What else would you like to say to us?
Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just have a few things to go over with you this morning. I want to let you know of a couple of things that have been completed in the department, and then a couple of things that are pending and upcoming. So we did receive the detailed sales list from the Department of Revenue. That's the sales ratio study. That's the precursor to this sales ratio study. We received that earlier in June, and we've reviewed that as an office, and I did send that out to the township assessors so that they had a chance to have some input as well. We put all of our information together and submitted that to the Department of Revenue for their review, and they have yet to give us a certification on that, but I do expect that forthcoming. So just wanted you to know that that is in process. And I did schedule the Farmland Assessment Review Committee meeting to occur on Tuesday, June 29th in the 4th floor county boardroom. So 10 a.m. on the 29th of June, we're going to have that statutorily required meeting where we'll address all the Farmland Assessment Review Committee topics. So those are some things that I've got that I've completed and we're ready to move forward with. As far as things that are kind of we're waiting on, it kind of goes hand in hand. I'm waiting for the certification of the 2020 sales ratio study from the Department of Revenue. I would expect that in the next couple of weeks as they review the information that we submitted just recently. I'm going to hold that Farmland Assessment Review Committee meeting, as I stated, and then also we're getting to the time of year where it's important that I start to look to receive the assessment changes from the township assessors as we get to the point of the year where we're going to be putting those in the system and getting ready to equalize and things of that nature before we publish and notify in the fall. So those are some things that are going on in the department, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Is there a question? So you feel you're on task, on time, on schedule, right, and everything you're doing?
Yeah, at this point of the year, I do. We'll wait and see as far as, receiving the assessment changes from the assessors. That's something that usually doesn't wrap up until the end of July or so. So it's a little early for me to tell if we're, if that's going to be on schedule or not. But as of right now, I feel pretty comfortable.
Is there anyone have a comment? Was your office the office of the day the other day, and you all got free lunch?
It was a few weeks ago, yeah.
Oh, it was.
We did. So that was kind of neat.
That was kind of neat. That's right. So, what? Just one other thing, just to clarify in farmland assessment, is it usually there is some change in farmland assessment?
So the Farmland Assessment Review Committee meets every year to discuss the upcoming assessment changes that are going to occur. And what happens is the Department of Revenue certifies to us a list of the certified PI values, the productivity index values for each index from 82 to 130, 82 being a lower quality soil, 130 being the highest quality soil. And every year, the PI values go up by 10% of the prior year's PI 111, which is the median for the state. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a meeting where we vote to accept those values as opposed to going out on our own and developing our own values for the soil in the county. But that would be very expensive for us to do on our own. So I really don't see any other option other than to take what the state gives us. Mm-hmm. And honestly, in all of the years where the farmland assessment law has been in place, I'm not aware of any county that's ever successfully gone in a different direction than what the Department of Revenue does certify to us. And the Department of Revenue gets input from the Farmland Assessment Technical Advisory Board and some folks at the University of Illinois. They do a lot of study and a lot of work on those numbers. So pretty comfortable with what they certified to us.
Yes, I'm glad you're comfortable. That's important too. So, anything else? Thank you, Mr. Blair. Appreciate your time.
Have a nice day,
You
folks.
too, please. Next, we'll turn to the recorder's office, and the report has been approved. And she should be smiling because the number is way up there again. Looking on your report, you see 185,587.
Another good month.
And I think you predicted it even, as you said last month that it would be up. What? Just can you explain that, or do you need to? Or
We had one very large purchase at the beginning of May that was over $18 million. So
that will
good things happening in our county.
Yes.
Contrary to what some people say.
And how's it looking for June, or things going still?
June is looking good. I'm not going to predict quite as well as May, but as you can tell from the review from the previous years, each month has just been phenomenal compared to the last 2 years.
Oh my goodness, if you turn to the back page, 2018, 2019, nothing it hits that. No, that's November 2020.
Yeah. So we're recovering, and we're very excited about that.
Does that seem to make you busier then?
Oh, we're very busy.
Oh, it's very busy.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
not bad.
Yesterday, we had to actually ask people to step out into the hallway. We had so many people in our office. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it was a good day. It was exciting. So we like that. Now we have opened up fully. Public areas completely opened again. In the back searching area, we've brought the chairs back, and we're just asking people, of course, to be mindful if you're not feeling well or whatever, and just, we're still doing our cleaning in between lunch hour.
Oh, are you?
And end of day. Oh, yeah. So
that's good to hear too.
yes.
Isn't it? Mhm.
Yep.
And even though you told us in the past that lawyers or others particularly use the remote, use the technology, you're still having, is it the public that's coming in? Or is it's a public, not
Public. Right now, we actually have a visiting searcher from, I believe, Arkansas. He is doing some work in our area, so he's, told me he's going to be up here for about the next month. So, yeah.
So
that's good. So he's working on a large project, which eventually will end up in my office, recordable. So, it's a good thing. Yeah.
And what I'm hearing you say is he's finding what he needs.
Yes.
That's the best news you could say. He's
Absolutely.
come from Arkansas finding what he needs.
Yep. He was remote working for the last couple of months, and now he actually has come in and used the books.
Oh, so he was in touch with you remotely
Yes.
before? Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
anything else, Ms. Peters? You have something you're happy for her too?
she was in the office this morning, was a customer already first thing this morning, so yes.
And you found what you needed?
I added to the total.
Yes.
You added to the total for June.
Yeah, the general fund. Yes.
Mr. Eckhoff is another customer, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Pretty regular.
Do you use remote mostly, though?
No, I usually go into the office.
So we're our own
It
customer.
shows how strong the housing market is here in the county.
Yes, it is.
And how good real estate is, so.
So that's been a predicted of on the edge a little bit, though, but you're not seeing it, you're saying?
No, I'm seeing it. I mean,
The inventory right now is very, very
low.
light.
Uh-huh.
And actually, we're starting now to see new building.
Oh.
So new building construction. So we're seeing some lots being sold, which is a good thing. We need that.
How will they accept that lumber charge, though?
Yeah, well, that's
Not your concern,
yeah,
but
well, personally it is, but it makes you really rethink a lot of things.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. Great.
Repurpose.
Thanks for all your comments, everybody, and thank you for your great
Thank
report.
you.
Appreciate
Yes.
you being here. Thank
See
you.
you next month.
Yep. Okay. Let's see, there she is. Miss Laird is here. Your report is in front of you. Would you like to report anything from your report, Carrie, on the animal control? Lots of statistics here, good news.
A couple things to highlight basically are you'll see the board. That means that we have boarded a lot more animals in our facility. Our bite reports have gone up significantly. Our intake has come in significantly. So we're seeing a lot of the animals that were possibly housed because of COVID are coming back to our facility. Those type of things. We're dealing with a lot more animals, a lot more bites in the area. At one point, we had 8 animals in our facility that were on bite holds, which is very rare for us to have that many at one time. I think there was more animals on bite holds than there were stray animals in our building.
Is that public? They had bitten either family or public is what happened.
Right. So when an animal will bite somebody and they're not current on rabies, that could be held in our facility or the vet's office for 10 days. And you can see the number of animals that we handled last month was 98 compared to the May of the previous year was 59. So we are starting to see an increase in animals handled starting the summer. It's been quite interesting.
Yeah, the other part though is that there is a number 42 on here, which means it says reclaimed by owners, and I think that's kind of the good news, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. We love to see the animals go home.
So are they among the strays that were captured, and then the owners need to come and get them, or what is the?
Right. Yeah. So basically, we have to hold them for a 3 or 7 day, depending on if they're chipped or we know an owner. So you know, these 42 animals were reclaimed by their owners at some point.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Because you have examined them for their shots and all that's required before they can be released.
Correct. If they're not current on rabies when they leave our facility, they have to go get current. Either here, Bradley, they hold our vials of rabies. So they have to leave here, leave our building, and then go to one of the hospitals to get vaccinations. That's already paid for at our facility.
The other that you mentioned the other day was about microchipping service. We've never talked about that. Why don't you go ahead and mention that again?
So the third Thursday of every month, we offer a microchip clinic. It is $15 per animal, and we do them as little as 8-week-old. Even smaller than that. So any animal that comes in our facility, granted if they're brand new newborns, we don't. But if they come in our facility, we microchip them. So if a mom comes in with 4 or 5 puppies, they're 5-6 weeks old, I think we microchip after around that time. We have done that before.
And the records stay in your office?
Yes. And then if the animal is transferred or the animal gets sold to somebody else, the puppy does, then they let us know who the animal belongs to then.
And does still the record stay there, or what could it go to another? Yes. Okay. All right. The other is just questioning about the village revenue of 1,770. Is that services, or is that part of a contract?
That is. That was just for last month, so that is just services. We do not have any contract on last month.
And what you had mentioned too is that with the contract with the Village of Bradley, you're noticing extremely higher usage then, wasn't that?
With Bourbonnais, yes.
Bourbonnais,
we have noticed. We've been keeping track of what we've done in each village for Bourbonnais, and we have noticed that we have gone there more frequently than we had in the past, which has been nice that we're helping them with more animals than we had previously because of the contract.
Yes, and confidence by the population is what that's saying too, isn't it? They're calling you directly for help, you're responding.
Yes, they are.
Does anyone
it's a lot easier for them to handle that, so they call us directly, and if we're able to, we hop on over there.
Hop on over. That was one of the things that was critical before that you've solved. Direct contact with animal control instead of having to go through the village offices.
Less frustration, absolutely.
Less frustration, for sure. Would you like to mention about dogs in this heat temperature in the car?
Absolutely. So on our website, we're actually going to put something up regarding the animals in the heat. And, obviously, don't leave them in the car for any reason, no matter if it's 5 or 10 minutes. If you're leaving them in the car, leave the air on. Don't roll the windows up, anything like that. It gets hot very quickly in the vehicle. We did have a case recently where that happened. We're trying to figure out what this issue was. Please don't leave your animals in the vehicle.
And the animal then died because of that heat exhaustion. So we're
assuming so, yes.
Yeah, your staff tried desperately to try to save that animal and still didn't survive. So
right.
The one on the back side of the report about the statistical amount, we seem to have a question on euthanasias usually, but there were the 6 that were behavior 6 injured euthanasia. Those were animals were what? What was going on with the 6 animals that you needed to euthanize?
So either they came in and they were injured, or they were just too severe to save. Behavior meaning that we would not adopt those animals out because behavior reasons. Or too sick, something like that. So those are ones that we do not feel comfortable adopting out. If they had a bite case that was, left behind and the animals weren't unclaimed, it's another one of those things that we would do euthanasia.
Sort of a humanitarian kind of approach, if you want to say it that way. I guess they weren't going
Our philosophy is if we don't want living next door to us, that's kind of what we have to, make that decision and, go through that way.
Yes.
We don't want an animal, that we would feel comfortable either taking home or living next door with.
Quality of life for everyone, including the animal.
Safety, because you see the bites are going up.
In the case of bites, usually it's going to the location, picking up the dog and bringing it in. Is that what happens?
If they're not current, correct.
If they're not
If they are current, then they have to do a 1-day check, which is the day of or day after the bite, and then a 10-day check to make sure that they're not positive for rabies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good report. Is there a question from anyone here? You have anything else to add?
Not at this time, thank you. I'm down at training at a conference right now in Bloomington, so I apologize for not being there, but I'm attending on Zoom. So
Are you gaining knowledge and information?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good news then. Thank you. Well, you still stay with us, can you, or do you need to go back to a meeting?
I can stay here.
Okay, so let's turn to the last part of our agenda then for the Animal Welfare Committee. Tinker, you want to stay right there and talk about what you would like to talk about?
Well, thank you, Madam Chairman. I will say, we met last week and we had a very good...
Sorry.
Thank you.
This is a point of order. I don't have her turned on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, before I start talking about the meeting, I will say I've learned more about having fawns in your backyard than I would ever known. I had 2 in 1 week, and that Illinois Conservation was helpful, and our animal wildlife specialist, Dawn Tutt, was very helpful.
Is that right?
Yes. It was the same deer twice, and the fawn, and she's safe with her mom right now, living in the woods, sheltered, and they haven't seen them yet, but it's fawn season, so please be aware. Do not handle or try to interfere between mother and fawn. Okay, we met last week. It was a really good meeting. We were really glad to have Sheriff Downey and Carrie Laird there, and as well as John Coughlin, to answer a lot of questions that we had. Sheriff Downey and Carrie answered a lot about animal control to our committee. They had some questions for both of them, and everyone seemed satisfied with the answers about what's happening with animal control, and good communication there. And we did talk about the signs a little bit. The signs are we're still waiting on Kankakee Park District. I know that they're busy with the opening of Splash Valley, but we're still waiting for their map so we can place those signs out in those districts. Bourbonnais has been completed. The state park has been completed. Momentum, thank you, has been completed as well, thanks to Mr. Eckhoff here. So the signs are up, and hopefully people are paying attention to those. We did talk quite a bit about trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release. That's going to be a huge, huge project. And I know that there was one concern that it's not going to cost the county. You know, there are no funds for that, so that's all going to be through grants and working with our different shelters there. We've been really relying a lot on Karen Himza to give us information about that. She's been very busy lately, so we really like to get her back involved so that project can go forward. We're also working with the state's attorney's office right now. They're having a proposed forum, we hope August, that we can bring the community together to do some education about what animal control does, about trap, neuter, vaccinate, release programs, and just different safety programs for all animals. The last thing that I have is basically keeping communication open between the shelters and our committee, and that seems to be going well right now, and everyone seems pretty satisfied with our committee and animal control. So I'm very happy about that. John Coughlin has been a big help in giving us advice, what we can and cannot do, so I really appreciate John showing up. Thank you, John, coming to every meeting and keeping us in line.
Two things. One is that Tinker was recently a speaker on the topic.
Yes.
And she was invited by Mr. Lear go ahead, what did you do?
To the Rotary, they wanted to know about animal welfare, exactly what is Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. So I had a great opportunity to discuss and answer questions that community leaders had asked. So I thank you for the invitation and met a lot of fine people there. Really enjoyed it and keeping in contact with a few of them afterwards.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Well, he mentioned to you that there is a bell that rings at 1 o'clock and the meeting is over, whether you're finished or not.
Yeah, I said I'll stay. I didn't care. I was going to kind of scare him with a big binder filled with all of our minutes and say, I just have a few things to say, but I figured, well, I better not do that today.
The last thing is that when Karen Hemza reported to our subcommittee, she said, tell us how many stray cats there may be in this county. Thousands and thousands.
Yes.
So if we were going to approach a neutering vaccination return, it would be 1,000. It'd be a lot.
It would be a lot. Colonies are all over the county right now. Kankakee is loaded with, the city of Kankakee loaded with colonies as well as outlying areas. So it's a big problem. Trailer courts are huge. People keeping animals, they don't want to come forward and say that they are a caregiver for a colony. So in the meantime, instead, what the frustration is that the colonies are there and they'll feed the cat, but they don't take care of having them neutered and spayed and vaccinated so we can start bringing that population down.
So money is a factor in all ways.
Always.
To the caretaker as well as to the county.
Exactly, and there's going to be some things if we start that hesitation of people reporting those colonies. So we have some obstacles that we have to jump over to get to where we want to be. So it's going to take more planning than what we had thought to get there.
And then the focus of the committee is animal welfare, so what better topic than caring for the cats?
Exactly, and I'm sad, sad about the colonies, but people are feeding them. But I'm also happy that we have those ordinances in places as far as temperature control, shelter, and animals running at large. I have noticed less dogs running about in our neighborhood. As a matter of fact, this morning I saw 3 people walking their dog on leashes. So, and I haven't had any phone calls from joggers out in my area about dogs chasing them. So I'm hoping that will bring those problems down.
Carrie, would you also confirm that having the ordinances helped you in your work?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those deterrent things that, you bring a dog in, the dog's not on your property, it's running at large. People don't understand that all the time, but it's another way to, the collective fees and fines to make a hindrance to those people that they don't want to do it again. So they live and they learn that we impound their dog, they come and they pay their fines and they realize why we impounded their dog, the dog was on their property, and so they're running at large. And that's when they usually are less apt to do it again because of that.
That's precisely the last ordinance that we sponsored, and that's the one you're using. So.
And it was really sad about the pit bull attacking that youth and others that were in on that, and the city police were called in and charged with running at large. So I'm glad we have that ordinance in place because you just never know. You just never know if a dog's going to come out of nowhere and attack you.
Okay.
It's best to keep them safe, keep the dog safe and safe for the
people. So, okay. Any other comments for either of these ladies? Okay, then excuse me.
Sorry, I just thought of something. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to mention, and I don't know if Ms. Parker or Carrie can backfeed this information to their committees, but I bump into people that in the community out there know what we're doing in the connection with animal control and AWAC and things like that. Somehow get the word out that land we're selling south of town was purchased with county money and not BARC money. Some people are spreading a narrative that we are using BARC's money and taking that into the county, and that is absolutely not true. It's just the opposite. The money will go back into the IPTIP building fund. And I didn't think it was that prevalent, but I hear about it more and more on how we're trying to take BARC's money from a land sale. It's these false narratives that keep being put out there, and you say it enough, it becomes true. So that's why I'm saying it on the microphone now. So I don't know if your committee can help get that back out to the people in the animal community, because it's just the opposite.
Our committee, we discussed this at length at our last committee. As a matter of fact, we had taken in documentation that no BARC funds were used for that sale. And so hopefully that our committee will take that out to the shelters where the chatter is coming from.
That's who our partners are the ones I care about, not the social media misfits. It's
Right.
the ones that are in the animal community that we
Exactly.
dedicated this project towards working with. So thank you.
Well, as it back up too, with Ms. Beckman and our finance department, you were able to obtain a paper,
Document, yes.
the document showing the sale or the purchase of that property for the money, and that it came just from the county money, from the ITEM money. So
As a matter of fact, 2 of the committee members had already received that information.
yeah,
Okay.
But everyone that at that table did get documentation.
and reported that they had attended a recent BARC meeting, and that information was also confirmed that they had not placed any money into it. So it's coming around some ways, it's going around the other ways.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you for
Hopefully it'll be
saying.
squashed.
Hopefully. Okay, so are there any items of new or old business you'd like to add? We about covered the table today, haven't we? Done a good job, spent a lot of money. Mr. Kirkster, here you go.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
All right, Ms. Peters, would you like to second that?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carried. Thank you.